Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, has just said that Ukraine has agreed to an immediate interim 30-day ceasefire. Let's play that.
Today, we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally thank, we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes, to peace. The ball's now in their court. And but again,
the timing of this is very important, Vaughn. As you know, we've been reporting that this was the last day, Ukraine's biggest day of military attacks, 337 drone strikes against Moscow. And Moscow, for its part, launched a ballistic missile attack. So now it looks like we have a 30-day ceasefire. What more can you tell us? Of course, assuming Russia buys into it. But tell us what more we know.
Right. This is a notable development. There are many parts of an ultimate peace agreement that have yet to be hashed out, and I think that's important. Mike Waltz and Secretary Rubio talking about the fact that, for instance, prisoner exchange, that has not been a part of the framework that is a part of this initial ceasefire agreement. Obviously, the ceding of land, Ukrainian land, but also land in Russia that Ukraine has taken over these last months, that is still left to be negotiated here. But this is a notable development. Number one, after more than a week of military aid from the U.S. being cut off and intelligence aid being cut off and communications being cut off between the White House and Ukrainian leaders, you are seeing in Saudi Arabia the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor sitting down with Ukrainian leaders and hashing out a ceasefire, a 30-day ceasefire agreement. Of course, now it is going to be incumbent upon the Russians to agree to such a deal. We have heard time and again from Russia suggesting that they want peace as well. But what does peace look like in the eyes of the Russians is very different than it does in the eyes of the Ukrainians here. And we know that Steve Witkoff, the special envoy from the Trump administration, who is at the heart of negotiations between Hamas and Israel, is going to be on his way to Russia. We do not know at this time exactly who he intends to meet with. But of course, coming out of this deal, you could expect him in his desire to meet with Vladimir Putin, who he met with about 2 weeks ago for several hours in a one-on-one meeting. And so for the Americans here, they are presenting a ceasefire deal to bring to the Russians. And this actually goes back to a conversation that I had about 2 weeks ago with a senior official who is at the forefront of these negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, telling me that in his mind, he saw a potential peace agreement coming together in 30 to 60 days. And I think that that is where it's notable that they're seeking a 30-day ceasefire that would ideally give each of these sides the ability to negotiate an actual peace plan and actual measured idea of what an actual long-term agreement would look like, which clearly we are still far ways away from here. But a ceasefire would be notable coming after a series of missile attacks here over the course of the last 72 hours that have particularly targeted Ukraine's energy grid system here in the dead of winter. These are notable developments here coming out of Saudi Arabia, Chris.